Hey everyone, we're back with another video here talking about some potential trades and players to be traded. I think there's a lot of different scenarios here throughout the NHL, but I do want to go through some players I have in my notes here and also fans online and cap friendly that some players we could see traded. So Anthony Mantha, another possible one where I mean, this is just ironic how it's Mantha for Vrana again in this scenario. But I think Mantha, whether it's to Vancouver, a lot of different scenarios. I think Anthony Mantha, whether he gets traded or not, he probably moves on in free agency. Another guy that I want to talk about, and I saw it towards the bottom here in this deal, Cam Fowler. I wonder if the Ducks, Cam Fowler and John Gibson, I wonder if the Ducks still consider it this year. I'm not saying it would be with Edmonton in the division. I just don't see it. But I think there is a scenario where a guy like Cam Fowler gets dealt. He has been with Anaheim for so long. I think there's a few guys in Anaheim that if we talk about like an Adam Henrique, a Cam Fowler, John Gibson, I would imagine one of these guys gets dealt. Like it's about time where one of these guys needs another contender again. Like they were obviously like a guy like Henrique has seen it with the Ducks and seen it with the Devils. Cam Fowler saw it earlier in his career with the Ducks. John Gibson hasn't seen it at all. So I think the fact is these guys need to be back with contenders, in my opinion, especially towards the end of their career. So I would keep an eye on the Ducks. Also, going back to the Sharks, just talking about Kevin Labanc, I think Logan Couture is really interesting. Again, shout out to the Sports Bureau. That was a conversation I was having with him, is that Logan Couture, $8 million, it's a lot. But if the Sharks are willing to retain or take contracts back, I could see it. I mean, I could see Logan Couture with a couple of years left in his getting into his mid-30s. I could see a deal for Logan Couture. There's a few guys on Nashville I've talked about, like Saros being the big one. But I think low-key players like a Trennan, I think Colton Sissons could get dealt. I think Dante Fabro could get dealt. So I think the most likely guy from Nashville would be Dante Fabro. I think there's some untapped potential there. Warren Fogle, Victor Olofsson. I've seen scenarios like this a lot. I think Victor Olofsson, I think the Sabres are going to make moves here. I think if you look at Olofsson, you look at a couple of their defensemen, I think Buffalo will, if they continue to struggle, will find a couple of deals out there where they just plug a guy in, plug a guy out. I think with the Boston Bruins, Jake DeBrusk was late to practice, and as I'm making this video, he's not going to be starting. He's not going to be playing against the LA Kings. So I think DeBrusk, if that keeps going sideways in Boston, I think at some point he's going to want to change the scenery. So if it's in free agent status, maybe, but maybe Boston gets ahead of that and moves DeBrusk. And one more guy I'll mention, because I've talked about the Columbus Blue Jackets defense. I've talked about Peak. I've talked about Boquist. I've talked about all these guys. But one guy that the 32 Thoughts pod brought up was Jack Roslovic. He's from Columbus. Like, he's from Ohio, so it sucks if the Blue Jackets have to move on from him. But I feel like the Canucks could also be in on that conversation. But Jack Roslovic is another name we've talked about so often, being in trade rumors. I think he's another name to look out for. So let me know, guys, what do you think on some of these trade rumors, some possible trades coming up this season. This one is a possible scenario, right? If the Habs, I think especially if the Habs were willing to retain someone Armia, like, I don't know, or get another contract back from Washington, I think Washington would give a shot to a guy like Joel Armia in a bottom six role. Yes, around $3 million for this year and next, which is harsh. But I think if they saved on the cap the rest of the way for Mantha and then took on another contract, maybe Kuznetsov. Like I've mentioned Kuznetsov maybe to Montreal, and Washington saves a bunch of money, a bunch of cap, and you just have to soak Armia in the bottom six, which again, Armia is shown to be a good bottom six forward in the past. Subscribe, like, comment, notification bell. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.